Well, I'm in my entryway with my little heater on, actually warming up a bag of soil so I can do my second batch of winter sowing. We're expecting a lot of snow, anywhere from 10, 15, 20 inches here in Rhode Island, zone 7A. And I already did my first batch of winter sowing. I did 15 jugs, and here's my list from the original. I have found the best way to do winter sowing is to number the jugs, and instead of writing the names. And then inside I put the little tags with what is in there. And I usually try to do 2 varieties per jug, unless it's something I do want a lot of since I have a small space. This is just a quick view of the first batch I did of winter sowing. These are jugs I saved from last year. They're all numbered 1 through 17. And as you can see, this makes it so easy to create a numbered list each year with new varieties using the same jugs. The second batch that I'm doing, instead of numbering them or continuing the numbering, I decided to use just the alphabet. And I actually am only doing 9 jugs this time, 18 varieties. So I just thought this would distinguish it in my brain between my first batch and my second batch. And it's very messy in my entryway, but I have a box over there of the jugs ready to go with drain holes and the slice that I actually used with my glue gun to melt the holes. In the past, I've had my husband help with drilling, but it leaves like little plastic bits everywhere. So I kind of like just warming up my glue gun and using the hot metal tip to make the holes. This is some footage I did earlier just to demonstrate how easy it is. It's a cheap and expensive little glue gun. You heat it up and it just melts the plastic and creates a hole. You just move it around a little bit so the hot plastic doesn't leave little threads, and it makes a very distinct hole. Another benefit of using your glue gun is you can do it while you're in your home, nice and warm, and it's not going to make a mess anywhere or leave little plastic pieces. A little jump ahead to save time. I ended up having to make this second batch. These are new jugs, but if you keep them numbered and or use the alphabet system, it's less writing, but also it's easier next year because you just start a new list with the numbers instead of crossing out varieties. So my soil that I picked up was frozen in my husband's vehicle. And this year I'm using this. It's Coast of Maine. Oh my goodness, and it's raised bed mix. And last year I used the purple bag, and I think it is just potting mix. I was afraid it's going to be a little chunky, but I was so happy and surprised. I can put some video in here from when I was outside doing my first batch. It was very fluffy, and there was no big chunks in it. And it was a lot less expensive because the purple bags in my area, I get them at a local nursery, and I believe they're anywhere. They used to be $14.95 for 1 bag, and now I think they might be $16 or $17.95. And that was 1 cubic feet. So these are 2 cubic feet, and they are $21.95. So this year, instead of getting the smaller bags, I got these, and I think it's a good savings. So anyway, I'm waiting for that to warm up. I'm just going to fill these up with soil. I have water to water them down. I will put all my next batch of seeds, winter sowing seeds, in. I've had a lot of success with winter sowing, but I've realized that one mistake I made in the past is not checking to see if the seeds needed light for germination. I honestly thought that was just a few varieties, but I went online and I actually just researched each one and checked and asked the question, do they need light for germination? And this is my second batch, but I was so surprised to find out how many seeds. See the L circled? how many varieties of seeds in the last batch and this batch actually just sit on the surface and are just pressed into the soil. So I'm really excited that maybe that will be helpful for some of the varieties that maybe in the past didn't work for me. This is my grouping this time. I've purchased seeds from 3 different companies, Baker's Creek, dun, 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 Baker's Creek, and then I did go on the back when I was researching them to see if they could be winter sowed. And these do need cold stratification, WS winter sow. So I bought a lot of varieties from Baker's Creek. I also did some pine tree garden seeds. They tend to be less expensive, but also they only give you a smaller quantity of seeds, which is great if you're a small backyard gardener like me. And who else did I go with? Botanical Interests. I'm trying this year for dried arrangements. I think they're pretty. And then I have a lot of my own little seeds, like Sheffield Mums. I collected the seeds, and these are all going to be experiments. Like, I don't expect to have big results, but I always like to try them and see how they do. And now that I knew about, I do the ice ballet milkweed. I've had success with milkweeds before, and the orange butterfly weed. But now that I know more about the light that's needed for most of these seeds, I'm just excited to try them and see if my own collected seeds will do better. Okay, so I hope my soil is getting warmed up. And here we go. I was just thinking as I was filling up these containers, luckily I have some nice soil. It's not frozen anymore. That's some of the chunks that are still frozen. But I was thinking that this is probably the video you'd like to watch if you're not good at perfection. I like plants. I like planting seeds. I like sharing it just because it's fun to share with others and I like to learn from others. But if you're looking for a neat and tidy gardener, it probably is not me. And you can see, like, nothing here is for show. These are things I will be using. It's messy. After I used my plastic gloves to tamp down the seeds, I just wiped them off to make sure I didn't transfer like tiny seeds into the other buckets. But hopefully this makes you feel good about your own gardening process, because this is how I do it. There's lots of videos that show you how to do the winter sowing process, so I won't get into that too much. But one of the things that I did this year a little differently too is can you see how full at the bottom of each container is? I think in the past, I've been successful with winter sowing, but sometimes I would do half of this and I would just put kind of an inch of soil thinking they wouldn't need it. But because they are in there for a few months and you want them to get healthy and establish roots, I realized I had some very shallow roots and small plants. But I'm hoping that just putting more soil in this year will allow them to really, take root and grow better. We'll see. But anyway, so this is what I do. I know some people wet it first. They wet their soil first. I just, because especially the frozen soil, I just put it all in and then I go around and put a lot of water on top, let it soak through. And then the seeds go on top and the soil is nice and moist and I can press them in. And that's okay. Okay. So that's it. I'm going to press the seeds on. I am going to secure those little sides. I already put those on the ground over there. You see, they're not the neatest job. Again, those 4 are ready to go. Then these 4 will be the next batch. I think I have 1 more after that. And then I'm going to walk them outside in the snow. So this is day 2 of my second batch of the winter sowing that I'm doing. I alphabetized it instead of numbering it, and I thought it was so smart doing it in my entryway. But as you can see, I have this little heater out here, and I've actually had it out here for about an hour warming it up. It went from 18 degrees in here to 26 degrees. My soil refroze, so it's pretty hard. So I have this heater warming it up, and the water jugs I had brought out are also frozen. That wasn't too smart. For now, I'm going to tape up these 4 that I did yesterday. And I just wanted to share this little thing that I do. Painter's tape is really easy to tear, so that's why I'm using that. These are new jugs, but when you do the old jugs that you saved from last year, sometimes they kind of get warped and a little bendy, and it's hard later to put the actual duct tape. I use this, this one was easy last year to remove, so I really like this one. The duct tape didn't stay on. However, it's really hard for me to get it straight, and my other ones are all messy, but I take a little piece and I stick on the 2 sides, especially the corners. And I don't know, but for me, that really helps later when I go to put the big strip around it. Because boy, you should see the ones out there from the last batch. So hopefully this time I'm a little more organized. The other thing I really did to organize myself a little better this time was I had put all the seeds in order of use that I was going to sow together, 2 in each jug. I went ahead and made all the labels ahead of time, so I have those ready to go. These labels were just made out of the top of yogurt containers. I just kind of cut them in little pie wedges, and I used a garden marker. So those are just little things that, for me, made it easier this time around. My first batch, I wasn't as organized, and it was a little crazy. And I did that outside in the sunshine, but not today. So here was my first batch. I did a week ago before we had some snow, and it went up to there. And then today, this is my new batch. It's a southern wall against my house. Seems to protect them and do well. But already there's a path in the snow. It's a couple inches, not too many yet. It's only been a few hours since it started. We're supposed to get 12 to 18 inches. We'll see.